Let's talk to Keith Best now, ex-Chief Executive of the Immigration Advisory Service, former Conservative MP, because we got news this morning from the Office for National Statistics that basically immigration has fueled a record population growth for 2 years in a row. Approximately 1.5 million more people living in this country now since 2023, according to that Office for National Statistics, because we're now pretty much 62 million people living in England and Wales. Quite extraordinary, and it's all down to immigration. Keith, very good morning to you.
Morning, pleasure as always.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone will be that surprised by this. I mean, I've been talking about the rise in population even before it was getting measured, because you could sort of feel that the country was getting a bit busier, certainly in parts of it anyway, certainly in parts of London. And almost all the population increase in the year to June 2024 that we're hearing this morning, 98% due to international migration. So it's a sort of change in the way the population is made up, isn't it?
Yes, and of course it puts enormous pressures on domestic services. I mean, you have to remember domestic circumstances as well. I mean, 100,000, sadly, families break up every year, so suddenly people living in one accommodation need more than one. Successive governments have failed to meet their own targets for building houses, so we're facing a housing crisis, and I'm not sure the government's really got any sensible answers to that at the moment. And of course migration just adds to that. I mean, in fairness, a lot of migrant families tend to have more people living in one unit of accommodation than traditional people living in this country, but it doesn't mitigate the fact that it's just putting pressures on lots of domestic services, whether it's housing, transport or whatever.
Yeah, and the NHS, of course, as well. And that's the problem. But, you know, I mean, what's the government's policy going to be for changing direction? Because it's all very well for them to say we're going to start, you know, deporting people who have come here illegally. We're going to start deporting people who shouldn't be here. But most of these people who are being measured as now living in Britain have come legally, presumably. Oh, we seem to have lost the feed. We'll try and get Keith Best back. Yeah, I mean, the problem is that an awful lot of the 700 and 800,000 people who came the year before would have come legally. Nigel Farage, the Reform UK leader, said this is disastrous for the quality of life for everyone. It puts impossible pressures on public services and further divides our communities. Richard Tice, the deputy leader, said these new mass immigration figures are deeply concerning and have serious implications for the housing crisis, for crime rates and quality of life across Britain. The UK cannot benefit from or cope with such high levels of unvetted, low-skilled immigration. We need economic policies that support British families, encourage higher birth rates and ensure that the interests of the British people come first. You know, and of course Yvette Cooper, who's the Home Secretary, has blamed the Conservative government's failed open borders experiment for net migration that ended up 3 times higher than at the start of the last Parliament. Well, yeah, but the open borders experiment was started surely by her colleague, former Prime Minister Tony Blair, back in 1997. That's when it all started.